the night shift, and that of course means the owls. The owls have special adaptations that help them hunt at night that the other raptors don't have. One of those special adaptations is silent flight. Now, silent flight helps the owls in several ways. First of all, the prey rarely hears the owl approaching, and the owl can continue to listen to the squeaks and rustling sounds that the prey is making without having to listen over the noise of flapping wings. Well, we would like to demonstrate the silent flight of the owl, but I am going to need a very brave volunteer from the audience, preferably somebody who has never seen the program before. Oh my gosh, so many volunteers, so few owls. Let's see, how about in the blue striped shirt? Have you ever seen the program? Yeah, come on up. We have a set of stairs, right? Yeah, give him a big round of applause. Well, thank you for volunteering. And what's your name? Venture. Well, this is going to be a big adventure. Venture, I would like you to come right over here and take a seat on our fake rock. Okay, Venture, are you nice and comfortable there? Yeah, okay, that's good. And you've never seen the program before? No? That's probably why he volunteered. And are you from Arizona? Where are you from? You're from America, okay. Venture from America. Well, through the power of our imagination, this is no longer Venture from America. This is now Venture the mouse. And I wouldn't be giggling down there because you're all mice too. You are all part of Venture's extended mouse family, and you have come out to forage and frolic in the middle of the night in order to avoid the daytime predators. What could possibly go wrong? Well, Venture is a very smart mouse. He knows that there's plenty that can go wrong in the dead of the night. So Venture has volunteered to be our guard mouse, and he is going to stand watch by the cover of this old tree and sound the alarm if danger approaches. But Venture, remember, it is the middle of the night. The moon is hidden behind the trees and the clouds. It's very, very dark. So in order to simulate that, I'm going to ask Venture to put on a blindfold. Okay, that's good. Can you see anything? No, that's probably for the best. So now that you're a mouse, you can't talk to warn us when danger approaches. You're going to have to squeak. So Venture, what does the mouse say? Venture, that was pathetic. That's okay, it's all right. We are prepared for anything, and we're gonna go to Plan B, the toy squeaker. So put out your hand. There you go, now give that some squeezes. Okay, now, I bet all you mice out there could hear that. How about you mice in the back? This is very important. This is our cue that danger is approaching. But we are approaching the most dangerous part of the program, and we are dealing with one of the largest owl species in the world, the Eurasian eagle owl. We don't want anything to happen to Venture. Safety first here at Bearizona. We do have required protective headgear. I'm just going to set this right on your head. There you go. This is the latest in raptor protective headgear. It comes complete with talon deflectors on each side. Now, we have released the owl. And Venture, you remember what your job is. That's right, you squeak when you hear that owl fly over here. So are you ready? Okay, he's ready. Let's all be very quiet. And here we go. Venture, I'm sorry, that was a whisker too late, and well, she's finished you off anyway. You can go ahead and take off your blindfold. Do you know where she's at? No idea where she's right above you. Oh. Yeah, let's give Ventura a huge round of applause because he sacrificed his little mouse life in order to save the rest of us. And you can scamper back to your family now. Thank you very much. Well, this is Luna, and she is a full-grown female Eurasian eagle owl. And aside from the silent flight, another special adaptation that the owls have is their vision. And she has more rod cells in her eyes than we do or the daytime raptors do. Rod cells help us to see in dim light. And we all know that if we were to pop our eyeball out of our head, it would be round. I like to be quiet when she flies so you get the full effect. So our eyes are round like this, and because of that we can move our eyes up and down and round and round. But owl eyes are cylindrical like this, and they're huge. They're even bigger than their brains. They're fixed in their eye sockets, so owls can't move their eyes around like we can. In order to see around, an owl has to move its entire head. So, for those of you who haven't seen the program before, and don't raise your hands, just shout out some guesses. How far do you think an owl can turn its head? Just shout it out.
All the way around.
360 degrees all the way around? That is a great guess, and they can do that once, and then we need a new owl. I think I heard some 180s halfway around. The hawks and the falcons can do that, but it's 270 degrees now. That's 3/4 of the way around. And if she did that one way, then back, and went the other way, it would be a turn and a half. And if we blinked at just the right time, it would look like her head was spinning right off her body. Now, just one of the reasons she can do that and we can't is because she's got twice as many neck bones as we do. We've only got 7 vertebrae in our neck with little bony protrusions that keeps us from spinning, from spinning our heads off. But she's got 14 vertebrae in her neck. She lacks those little bony thingies, so even though it looks like she doesn't have any neck at all, underneath all of those feathers, her neck is very long and slender and flexible. Thank you, dog. Okay, now, knowing that she's got about a 6-foot wingspan, and yeah, don't raise your hands now. Let's shout out some guesses. How much do you think she weighs? Anybody? 30 pounds? That's a great guess. It's wrong.
20 pounds?
It's a great guess.
40.
70, too high. Going in the wrong direction.
40.
40. What? We're getting close. 12.
50 pounds. 50 pounds.
She weighs about 6 pounds. Do you remember at the beginning of the program I said that some of their bones are semi-hollow and the feathers are very, very light? Now, they're found in parts of Europe and Asia, and they're in the horned owl family, and you could tell by the beautiful decorative tufts on her head. Now, her counterpart, are you just going to sit there? You're done. Says, yeah, I'm just going to sit here. Okay, that leads to the question, what's a group of owls called? No, it's not Hooters. Anybody? Parliament, that's exactly right. And I'm sure that they were named that because they are so wise and such deep thinkers, but personally I think it's because they just sit around and think for such a long time before they make a decision and act on it, and that's why I think it should be called a Congress. Okay, her counterpart on this continent would be the great horned owl, and like the great horned owl, like the other raptors, the great horned owl is an amazing predator, and there's something very unusual that the great horned owl will eat that other predators avoid. It's a mammal that comes out at night. It only weighs about 5 to 7 or 8 pounds. In spite of its relatively small size, this mammal packs a powerful defense, and nothing wants to tangle with it. Yeah, bobcats, mountain lions, coyotes, they may try to take one on once. It's behind me, isn't it? Yeah, they may try to take one on once, but if they do, Well, they probably won't make that mistake again. And this is Daisy. And Daisy is a striped skunk, the most common type of skunk found in North America. And in spite of all the super senses that the owls possess, super hearing and super eyesight, owls don't have much of a sense of smell, and that is a good thing for the owl because, well, a skunk can hit you accurately at about 10 feet with that spray, and shower you with a gentle mist at about 20 feet, and nothing wants to be on the receiving end of a skunk. That stink will stick to a predator for days and let everything in the vicinity know that it's coming. But the skunk rarely hears the silent approach of the owl, and even if it does, the owl isn't too impressed. So it's usually owl 1, skunk 0, and the owl will probably take part of its trophy back to its nest with it, do a little interior decorating with some of that fur, and maybe have a nice juicy midnight snack later on. So if you're ever out in the woods and you smell skunk, you might want to look up because you could be under the nest of a great horned owl. Well, Daisy has scampered off because she's seen the program before. She does know who's coming out next, and it's our very own great horned owl, George. Now George, yeah, let's hear it for George. George is a rescue. He was found right here in the Williams area after a prescribed burn, a forest fire. He was on the ground and he was tiny. He was still dressed in his baby down. He looked like a giant pile of lint with great big eyeballs. Well, they picked him up and they looked him over and he looked like he was okay. So they just set him back down and they walked away. Now, I was always taught that if you pick up a baby bird, you put it back up in the nest. Well, the parents will sense you've touched it and they'll neglect it. They might even kill it. But luckily, that is just a myth because bird parents are wonderful parents, and putting a baby back in the nest is the best chance that it has to lead a normal, free life because mom and dad will take care of it. Well, they did go back to check on George. They knew there were special circumstances. He was still there. They looked all over for a nest tree. They couldn't find one. They looked all over for the parents. They even tried hooting for them, but nobody came for George. So they brought him in to us, and it did turn out to be a good thing because George had severely infected ears. He had to spend a few weeks with a veterinarian getting those infections cleared up. Then he came back to live with us. Now, there's a few reasons that George can't be released. First of all, even though the infections in his ears are gone, there's scar tissue down there, and he probably hears better than we do, but not well enough to be at the top of one of these trees and hear a mouse a few feet under the snow. But the other reason is because George is an imprint. He was raised by people from such a young age, he thinks that either he's a person or we're all owls and mom just dressed as kind of funny. Now, we do fly George in the programs, but for your safety at this time of year, he is presented on the fist, and that's because, well, George is a big kid now. It's the end of owl breeding season, and George has been looking for love in all the wrong places because George is not looking for an owl, and this is a family program. So if George hoots at you, that's his way of saying, "Ooh, baby, you look good. You can come home and feather my nest anytime." Well, George will be coming out after the program. You'll be able to get up close and personal, get some great photos, exchange phone numbers, get a hot date. So we're going to go to the falcon family next. The bird that is coming out is found throughout most of the American continent, but it's the smallest and most common falcon that's found in North America. It's the small but mighty American kestrel, and I think it's going to be little cricket. Cricket? Yes, thank you. It's a little cricket that's coming out. Now, falcons are built for speed. They've got long pointed wings, unlike the rounded wings of the hawks and the owls. They've got very stiff feathers, which helps decrease wind resistance. There he is. Good job. Okay, so stiff feathers help decrease wind resistance, which makes them fast and maneuverable. The fastest of all birds is the peregrine falcon, which can dive at over 200 miles an hour. Falcons have dark eyes, which act like a pair of sunglasses, and stripes under their eyes, which acts like the grease paint that football players put on to help decrease glare. And all of these characteristics help falcons in high-speed chases with one of their favorite prey, other birds. Now, for its small size, the kestrel could clock speeds of 50 to 60 miles an hour. They'll hunt anything from insects like grasshoppers to other birds their own size or even larger. But another favorite on their menu is mice, and one of the best places to spot kestrels is in open grasslands. Now, there aren't a lot of places to perch there, so check telephone lines and fence posts. But you might also see them hovering, because kestrels are unique in the falcon family, being able to flap their wings so quickly they can hover like a helicopter. And what they're looking for are mice trails. And mice trails are glowing runways of urine. Urine glows or fluoresces in the ultraviolet light range. Mice dribble urine to mark their territory as they're running along their grassy trails, and kestrels can see in the ultraviolet light range. So as they're hovering over that field, they're looking for the yellow brick road. And if they find one, they're pretty sure that at one end or the other, there is bound to be a mouse. Good job. Yeah, give him a hand. I'm sure that he appreciates it. Well, raptors are predators. And if you have been around Bearizona already, you have seen lots of predators. There's bears. There's lots of bears. There's bobcats and foxes and badgers and wolves and jaguars and even the furry otters down here are predators. But we now know how very valuable predators are in helping to maintain a healthy, balanced ecosystem. The raptors are no different. They are the great predators of the sky. Now, when they started building this stage and all of the seating area out there, well, the construction disturbed a lot of rodents, and there were rats and mice and things that they were running all over out here. You know, you can just imagine how concerned we were at flying our birds over all of those trees. Apparently, though, we didn't have anything to worry about because rodents must be a lot smarter than we gave them credit for. Once we started flying the birds here, the rodents just vanished. So that problem is behind us now, and we have the raptors to thank for taking care of the rodent population in this part of the park. And it just shows how very effective raptors are at helping to maintain those rodent populations. Well, now we're going to the hawk family, and the bird that's coming out is one of our fastest and lowest flyers. If you stay very still and quiet, you could get a great mouse eye view of this bird. It's a Harris's hawk. Now, the Harris's hawks are native to Central and South America, but you can find them as far north as the southern part of Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. But something very unique about Harris's hawks is the fact that they're social. The only other hawk that lives and hunts in family groups like a pack of wolves is the Galapagos hawk. And that's Bonnie. Now, you may have noticed just how low the birds fly, and we did not train them to do that just to give you a thrill. They're using a phenomenon called ground effect, and ground effect helps them to fly using less effort. It's almost like floating or hydroplaning on a cushion of air. And you often see it when you're out in the ocean, and you spot a squadron of pelicans. It's just skimming over the surface and clearing it by a few inches. And that's because ground effect only works when you're very close to a surface, like the water or the ground or your heads, so ducking won't help out because Bonnie will just fly lower. Among raptors in general, they have a very high mortality rate in their first year of life. Only about 15 to 20% survive that first year, and it's largely because they have a short training season with mom and dad before being kicked out of the nest and told to go earn your own living. But Harris hawks are different because they'll stay with their families for 3 years or even longer. They'll continue to hunt with mom and dad, so by the time they decide to strike out on their own, they are much better prepared for a life in the wild. Now, there's a few things that set raptors apart from us. A few things that set raptors apart from other birds and even other birds of prey, because all raptors are birds of prey, but not all birds of prey are raptors. In order to be a raptor, you have to have 3 sharp things. Sharp eyesight, 8 to 10 times better than ours. Some of them can see colors we can't see, and they can see faster than we can see. We only see around 20 frames per second, but they can see anywhere from 80 to 120 frames per second, which helps them to lock onto quickly zigzagging prey without losing it. They also need sharp curved talons for catching and dispatching their prey, and a sharp curved beak for ripping and tearing. Well, Linda is going to take Bonnie back to her quarters, and she is going to be bringing out George, the great horned owl. She's going to take him to the back of the seating area where you can get some great close-up photos and maybe get a date with George. We're also opening the enclosures in the back, and the birds back there are not raptors. They're members of the corvid family, and the corvids are among the most intelligent birds on the planet. We have 2 species of ravens, and they make up our financial department. So if you take $1 out of your pocket, you hand it to either one of our ravens, they will gladly relieve you of it. They will deposit it in the bank as a donation to a nonprofit raptor rescue education organization. But this does conclude our program. You've been a fabulous audience. We thank you so much. I hope you have time to visit our other birds before you scamper out to see the rest of Bearizona. Have a great day.
Thank you.